Hi, welcome to the Aspire podcast. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Angela Armendariz, your host, and I'm joined today by a friend and fellow colleague, April DiPietro.
Hello, hello. So I'm April DiPietro. I'm the Community Resource Director at the Camden County Care Management Organization. We are one of the largest CMOs in the state, and we work with over 1,900 kiddos.
Woo!
Yeah,
a lot of
so
kiddos.
I get to help my staff link families with resources, and I do presentations to make sure other parents know how to access services. And, you know, with all my extra free time, I'm an in-home therapist for other counties' children that are in the CMO.
Oh, that's fantastic. And on top of that, you volunteer your time with other organizations. That's how we met through a networking
the Community Networking Association,
which allows us to bring more resources to families in need.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah. We're going to focus tonight's episode on parents who are curious and wondering if their child might have a mental health challenge, struggle, maybe even a diagnosis. And April has a lot of experience with that. Would you mind sharing just a little bit of your background with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started my career in social work at the Camden County Partnership for Children, which is the local CMO in the state of New Jersey, but for Camden. And I had an opportunity to work with hundreds of families that were navigating the services available to kiddos in the state. And then I just was like, you know what, I should just go for my master's. Let's do this. So I went for my master's, and then I said, all right, why are we going to stop here?
Yeah, there
Let's go for the license.
Yep.
And so now I work 2 jobs 5 days a week. So I do CMO both like from the director role, but then I also, in the evening hours, I'm an in-home therapist for some of the kiddos that are a part of the program.
That's amazing. How did you decide that kids and children and teens, families were where you wanted to serve?
Honestly, from my childhood.
Yeah.
So I grew up with my grandmother in South Philly, and my mom had 2 kids by 18. So that was a challenge in itself. I had 2 aunts that lived with us that were both Down syndrome and had some medical conditions as well. And we always had social services around us, in-home nurses, assistance, and help. And then I realized, you know, if it wasn't for my grandmom, I may have been in the system myself.
Wow. Yeah.
So things that oftentimes can make someone else feel uncomfortable was just a normal for me.
Right.
Yeah.
So you wanted to
Give back and help.
I love that. That's fantastic. And you've done a lot here in South Jersey. You're so well known, so connected to all of the different types of social service agencies. And one of the reasons I was excited to have you come talk about this is at Aspire, one of the questions we get a lot from parents is, how do I know if what my child is dealing with is something that's more on the mental health side or more on just like the age appropriate developmental side? The teens again, teens. You know, the hormone question comes up all the time, right? So just to start us off, could you share a little bit about some things you've noticed in kids and teens that take them outside of the norm? Signs that parents could look for that their child might be struggling with, let's say, depression or anxiety.
Well, the first thing that I would typically share with a family member, right? So part of the work that I do at the CMO is I go out and I do presentations in the community.
Great.
So sometimes I'll have my table set up and a parent will come over and say, oh, what is the CMO? And I start talking with them. Some parents are like, oh, I know something is wrong with my child.
Yeah.
That one's, okay, here, call this number, yada, yada, this is what you do. But other times I'll be talking to the parents like, no, I don't think that's my kid. And I'm like, never assume. You should never assume. I said, focus on how is your child usually? What is the baseline? What is their normal personality? Are they outgoing? Are they always hanging out with friends? And then all of a sudden, like a switch on the wall, it's different. That could be a sign that something's going on, right? Same thing like with a crisis, right? It looks different for every family.
Yes.
A crisis for one might be something really significant and serious, whereas a crisis for someone else could just be, hey, my kid's just acting really different.
Yeah.
And I'm concerned, right? So I would say never to assume.
Okay.
Always keep open lines of communication.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes parents are like, oh, they're quiet. It's good. Okay.
Right.
No,
right. Yeah.
Quiet for me is like, what are you doing?
What's going on back there? Right.
What are you thinking?
Yeah.
What are you feeling? Like I do it with my own 7-year-old now.
Yeah.
I ask him all the time, dude, where you at?
Yeah.
Like he's playing his video game, but like his eyes look like he's somewhere else.
Right. You're like,
I'm like, are you going to move your player? Like what is happening? Is this like a strategic move that I don't know about?
Analyzing.
Yes.
No, that's great. Actually, one of the things we say a lot to parents is to look at the behavior before expecting them to tell you something, right? Their behavior, their actions are going to show something's going on before they're likely going to tell you. And that's partly just because of the developmental stage that our kids and teens are in. It's not like in adulthood when we have the ability to say, hey, you know what? I've had an off day. Actually, it's been an off week. It's been an off month.
Yeah.
So we often encourage our families to check the behavior first. And I really love what you mentioned about what's the baseline, what's the norm, and what's kind of coming out of that.
Right.
Are there some kind of typical signs or behaviors that parents could look for kids, let's say both kids and teenagers, when they might have some anxiety or depression going on, but just specific behaviors you've seen in some of the families you've worked with before the kids kind of come forward and said, hey, I think I'm feeling pretty down?
Yeah. Obviously a change in behavior would be one, but sometimes we're just so busy as the parents, right? Because we're not just parents, we're a wife or a husband or a child, right? We have parents that we might be taking care of. Quiet, isolation is a good one. That oftentimes it's like once I say it, and they're like, oh yeah, wait.
Yeah, they have been kind of quiet.
They have been like going up to their room, and it's been nice, but now I can see that might have been a red flag.
Right.
Or issues with friend groups. The friend group drastically changes.
Yes.
Like, oh, I don't talk to them anymore. Okay. I might ask, did something happen?
Right.
Did someone say something to you? If their style, personality, the way in which they
their
present
dress,
themselves into the world, if that shifts and changes in a drastic way, I might want to put my finger on that. And say, hey, like what's going on? Like, this is cool. Like I dig it.
Right.
A lot of times I try to explain to the parents that I work with. Well, I work with the kids, but when I'm communicating with the parents, right? I'll say things like, it doesn't make sense to you because you wouldn't do it. Right. So sometimes there's that huge disconnect to whatever the behavior is.
Right.
Whether it's anger and aggression and an unwanted behavior or concern, like depression, or maybe they're being bullied.
Yes.
Maybe it's a gender identity challenge that they're going through. Right. So I will say to parents, also remember that the way we think about something is not the way the kid does. Right. We have the ability to move out of our amygdala. Right. Kids don't. And even if they did, if they could get that thought to the prefrontal cortex, it is not developed yet. So they're going to struggle. So a lot of times parents have to be the ones to model and lead.
Yes.
So that's like a big focus for almost every single one of the families that I work with is try your best to model the desired behavior.
Right. Yeah.
And when you mess up, own it.
Yes.
Own it.
That's so important to be able to apologize and model what that looks like. Yeah.
You wouldn't believe how many parents don't really understand what a proper apology is. It's not just the I'm sorry. And oftentimes it's the I'm sorry, but no buts.
Right. We get that a lot. Yes. I'm sorry, but you drove me to you were acting out.
You made me mad.
Yeah.
So sometimes I find myself having the same conversation with
the kids and the parents
that I just had in the session with the kid, but it's delivery. It's it's the desired outcome that I have is just to help them to better understand the way the brain works, the way that we interact. One of the big things that I focus on is behavior is a form of communication.
Absolutely. Right.
Game changer when you shift that
form
perspective.
Of communication.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that you're 100% right. If we can get, as parents, if we could start to look and read behaviors and behavioral shifts more than expecting our kids to come forward and tell us exactly what's going on.
Because they can't.
Yeah, they can't. And we'll be so much more in tune. Yeah.
Absolutely. And take your kids that might have ADHD coupled with anxiety.
Yeah. Yes.
When they don't have the words, it's just the behavior. Yeah. The go-to is just anger and aggression and frustration.
Right.
Like even my own kid, sometimes he'll say the randomest stuff. And I'm like, where did that come from? And then like 1 second later, I'll have his head in his hands and he's like, I don't know why I act this way. And I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Right. Yeah.
Like, let me help you. Let's walk through this together. Connect and then correct.
I love it. Connect and then correct. That's something we tell parents. It's like one of our mantras.
Easier said than done.
Oh, yes, that is true. That is true. And as parents, I was just having this conversation with one of our Aspire therapists today. We were talking about the importance of helping parents understand that when we yelling is for us. Yelling makes us feel like we're doing something right. Like
exerting power.
Yeah, I'm correcting a behavior. I'm doing that for me. It doesn't actually help the child.
Nope.
In fact, it makes it harder for them to follow the directive because they, it sends them into a dysregulated state, right? They get defensive.
Trauma response.
Yep. And so they're unable to then hear the command and the corrected behavior.
And you put them on defense.
Yeah.
They're no longer soaking in what you're saying.
Right.
They're just defending.
Right, exactly. And they're just trying to survive that moment. You're less likely to get the desired outcome. But yet we feel as parents like, well, if I don't assert that power, I'm missing a teaching opportunity. And it's just not the case. No. It's not the case. No. Yeah. Absolutely. I'm really glad you brought up anger because that's a common thing. Parents come into our program and say, hey, my kid needs anger management. And when we meet with the kid, we realize it's not anger management. It's depression. It's anxiety. Can you talk a little bit about how, especially in teens, but even in kids, depression and anxiety and ADHD even show up sometimes as anger and anger outbursts?
Yeah. I could use my own child as an example. Really struggles with no. Any kind of boundary. Wants to do what he wants to do when he wants to do it. Age appropriate expectations. He's at a part in his developmental stage where he wants to have that autonomy. He wants to make those choices. So I catch myself going, April, practice what you preach. I'm like, okay, let me give him 3 choices. All 3 I'm happy with, but he gets to make the choice. So I try to meet him in the middle where I can. And I have to catch myself. I've noticed a lot of times a situation will happen. And again, behavior is a form of communication. He's clearly trying to communicate something, just not in a very effective way. Why am I getting so upset? Right. Like, why is this bothering me? And then I have to dig deep and I have to pause for a minute and just say, yelling isn't, I'm telling you, I'm trying to teach my own kid or someone else's child, look, when you're frustrated and you're angry or you're sad or you're scared, I can show you pictures of faces and you can tell me what the emotion is. It's totally different when you're in the moment. Yes. Right? Well, you can have a great conversation with a teenager when they're calm. Right. In that moment, it's like the brain breaks. Yes. They just really struggle to like navigate through it. So I try to explain to the kids that I work with and I try to help them to understand thoughts impact your feelings and your feelings directly relate to the behavior. Right. And all behavior has a consequence or a cause and effect. Right. So if you constantly feel attacked or in defense mode, or,
like you have to protect yourself or defend yourself. Right.
Maslow's hierarchy of need. Let's go back a little bit. Let me ask a couple questions. Right. Like anxiety is the fear of something that often isn't true. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I do a lot of work around challenging automatic thoughts. Yeah. Talk a little bit about that because, you're referring to cognitive behavioral therapy, right? CBT. Love that model. There's a lot of great techniques in that model, but can you talk a little bit more about what that looks like, challenging the automatic thoughts? Yeah. So I'm working with a youth right now that has social anxieties, and it's really difficult for this person to go into social settings. Okay. So I'll point out, but that was a social setting. How did that feel? Why was that different? Like, don't get defensive. It's okay. Right. Like, I'm not pushing you to go do something. I just want to understand your thought. But really, I want them to understand their thoughts. So I just keep taking it back a little bit. Let's go back a little bit more and a little bit more. Yeah. And what we landed on was quite interesting. The youth said to me, well, the classroom is different because you have to be there and the other kids have to be there. And I was like, huh. so you don't want to do this program with this hobby that you love. And I know that you'll love it. You know that you'll love it. But because it's not in their mind, I have to do this, then the anxiety kicks in.
Sure.
And I'm like, well, let's walk through those automatic thoughts.
Right.
What is it? And they're like, people. I'm like, but you're a people. Are you also scared of yourself? So we have this conversation. And then kids often, because they desperately want to defend their stance, I have to like point it out. Like, hey, it sounds like you're getting a little defensive. Like, you don't have to get defensive. I'm just trying to understand.
Right.
Like, let's have a conversation. Like, I'm not your parent.
Yeah.
I can't punish you. I'm not going to force you or make you do anything. I just want to help guide you through this thought so you're more connected to what you're thinking and feeling. So I'll give homework. Like, for example, I'll say, you like to draw. You draw when you feel a certain way. If you find yourself drawing, I want you just on a separate piece of paper, write down the feeling to help make the connection.
Right, to make that connection.
What am I thinking and what am I feeling? And when that can become a little bit more known, like more mindful of that moment, it's easier then to teach, hey, that's a red flag. Maybe you challenge that thought, right?
Right.
Where it gets tricky is when the automatic thought is rooted from something that actually happened.
Right, where it's a trauma-based thought. Yeah,
correct.
It's a lot more challenging.
That gets a little more layered.
Right, because then you really have to tease out, yes, it happened once, but your anxiety
is going to happen again.
Your anxiety is telling you it's going to happen every
single time,
right? And that's not. Yeah, one of the things we try to help our kiddos with is understanding the difference between a true thought and an untrue thought. Just because you think it doesn't make it true.
Right. It's like what? Just because you write it on the internet doesn't mean it's valid.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
I sometimes will on purpose do something that I don't want my son to do or something I've told him, hey, don't do this. This is not how we behave or this is how we act. So I said to him, I don't know, he wasn't listening. He has ADHD. Okay. Yeah. He's playing his video game and like, I'm doing all the things. Yeah. I got the timer going. I'm like, buddy, we got 5 more minutes. Okay. Yeah. Like we have to get in the car. Don't forget. I'm going to go put the waters in. Like he just needs that constant ding, ding, ding. The alarm goes off. I'm like, okay, it's time to get in the car. Totally ignore me. I'm like, oh, now we're going to have selective hearing. Yeah. So I wait a moment. I go in the kitchen, pet the dog. I go over, put my hand on him, right? He's got ADHD. Maybe a little touch might help. I'm like, Jay, we got to get in the car.
Yeah.
No, he's just playing. I'm like, Jackson, I'm going to count to 5.
Yeah.
And when I get to 5, I'm just going to take the.
Yeah.
I took it. And then he wanted to freak out. So I raised my voice. I was like, enough. Get in the car. So start walking down the steps. I didn't really feel like I had to yell.
Right.
It did it on purpose to prove a point. He gets I'm already at the bottom of the steps. He's coming down the steps. So he's above me. These are like, I really set it up.
Yeah,
like
you set this up.
I had set it up. And I look up at him and I say, Jay, I'm really sorry. I apologize. I got really mad. I raised my voice. That wasn't kind. It wasn't respectful, which are 2 of my house rules that he hears all the time.
Yes.
Bing. I'm like, I apologize.
Yeah.
That was not right. It wasn't kind. It wasn't respectful. And I'm going to try really hard to use some deep breathing.
Right.
Or I'm going to count backwards from 10 when I get that mad.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he's like, but I wasn't listening.
I
said, correct. But what you do does not impact my thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Those are mine. They belong to me. I'm not a puppet.
Right.
I'm not a robot.
Yeah.
What you do can only impact me that way if I choose to allow it to.
Right. Right.
And he just looked at me and I was like, I control me, you control you.
Yeah.
Because I got in like,
yeah,
I was explaining it like he knew what the hell I was saying. And then I was like, nope, he doesn't really get this. Let me kid ways.
Yeah.
I control me, you control you. Yeah. And when you play your video game, you control Spider-Man, but that's different.
Right, but that's different. Yeah. Yeah.
Totally. But I'll set up moments like that because
teachable moments,
but where I'm in the wrong.
In order to model that.
Correct. But also I'm not a robot.
Right. That's true.
The anxiety and the depression creeps in when the young person or even adult feels like they are missing the mark or I'm not good enough.
Yes.
Oh, I know this. I shouldn't have done that again.
Yeah.
I'm trying to lose weight. Why do I keep eating the Oreos at 11? And we just get so hard on ourselves.
Yep.
So I wanted to show my own kid, I make mistakes too.
Yeah.
And this is what it looks like when you fix it.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I love
It's
that.
not the end of the world.
Yeah. The opportunity for repair.
I don't make it about you. It was me. Ownership, accountability. Again, all words that we're trying to teach these young minds.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. One of the, I love that you mentioned that. And one of the things that we try to teach parents is that when we talk to a kid and say things like, you're making me angry, your behavior is driving me crazy, we're teaching them that they have control and are in charge of our emotions. So if you already have a kid who's struggling with depression, anxiety, or even just being a kid, because that is hard.
It is hard.
Right? If they're all of a sudden now they have shame. Now they have guilt. And I'm
responsible for keeping mommy happy.
Right. And now I've got to do it for you, not for me. And instead of teaching children to be strong and independent and proud of who they are, it becomes about, I better make this choice so mommy's not mad.
Right.
I better make this choice so daddy's not yelling at me.
Nope.
Right. And we've lost that beautiful teaching opportunity, that modeling opportunity. And so just that switch in a small switch in language, instead of saying, you're making me angry, mom's getting really frustrated right now. I need to take a minute.
Yeah.
I'm unhappy with this behavior. I'm going to go calm down so that we can talk about it in a second. Right. Just
Absolutely.
that small switch of behavior takes the shame out of it.
But it also helps the other person. Now, let's say this is two adults.
Sure.
Right? I know we're taking the approach of like parent-child.
Yeah.
But even if it's two adults, husband and wife, right? A couple. If you notice that you're getting frustrated and you're outwardly pushing, if you change your perspective, right? You change the mind, you change the game. From my good friend Kenny Clutch. Shout out to you, buddy. Change the mind, you change the game. Shift the perspective, right? Like, why am I getting so upset? Right? And what is it that I want my child to be able to do? Because any parent could, again, in a calm moment say, oh, I want my kid to be able to be emotionally regulated, right? To feel safe and confident in themselves, to learn how to disagree respectfully. Right. But in the moment, just like the child, they struggle with that. So we're getting, reminded of something deep back in our own wound,
our own,
like
our own wound.
About.
Yes,
Like that's been festering from the other episode. Yes. So it's a teachable moment on both sides.
Right, on both sides.
Both sides.
Yeah.
Both sides.
I know. Being a parent, it allows you to grow in a lot of ways, but it also reopens a lot of your own childhood wounds, a lot of stuff that maybe you didn't even know was still festering in there. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, but that's such an important thing to just keep in mind how my emotional state is affecting my kid's emotional state.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And to be able to say, hey, I got really mad. And sometimes it's easier said than done. But I recognized I made a mistake. I'm going to own it. Or like you said, I'm going to take a moment. I statements are so powerful.
So powerful.
It can
so
totally shift a conversation that turns to an argument back to a conversation.
Right.
Hey, pause.
Yeah.
The direction we're going, it's not helpful.
Right. And I think we hear that talked a lot about in a couples scenario, but it's still effective in a parent-child scenario.
Absolutely.
And you're teaching them young to do that. And it's so effective.
Right.
Yeah.
But the same way we don't want the child to feel responsible for our feelings when we are shifting our perspective and trying to be like, okay, well, what is my desired outcome?
Yeah.
Right. You have to drop the power and control. I'm the parent. What I say goes, right? And there's a lot of that. And that can come from cultural background. That can come from the way that individual was raised. Being connected to that and mindful of that is important. But also, if they really want to lead by example, they have to also accept that they're not perfect.
Right.
Like, parents aren't robots. We are not superheroes.
Nope.
It's okay to not be okay. The same way for your child, but for you as well.
Right.
So self-care and modeling all of that. So I loved your example of, hey, I don't like this behavior. I'm going to take a moment.
Yeah.
I'm going to calm down and then I want to come back and I want to talk about it. Right.
What would you say to a parent who says, no, I have to be in control all the time. My child needs to know that I'm the authority, that they have to listen to me. But maybe it's coming off in an angry, more assertive way, right? How would you help them kind of just reshape that thinking? Because some of that's not wrong, right? You are you're the safe boss. You are the boss. But how do you create the safe part in that relationship?
it sounds like some of the parent coaching that I do. I would start with, what is the desired outcome? So for example, there was a situation that had come up, and it was a constant daily fight about when to brush the teeth.
Okay.
You need to, before you go downstairs, like this person was just very organized, liked to do things that made sense. So like super hovering, like that hover parent, you know? And I was like, pause for a second. So kid gets up, makes his bed, puts his clothes on, goes in the bathroom. You want what to happen? Brushing of the teeth. Before they go downstairs?
Yeah.
Yes. Why? Well, because coming back up would make no sense. And then I know my kid, will be in her bedroom. Okay, I hear you. Can you just bring the toothbrush and toothpaste downstairs? Did you ever ask your kid, why don't you like to brush your teeth in the morning? And they were like, no. I said, well, we could start there.
Yeah.
Turns out, guess why the kid didn't want to brush his teeth first thing in the morning?
Why?
Because the mint toothpaste makes his breakfast taste weird.
That makes so much sense. That makes so much sense.
So I then explained to the parent, look, I get it.
Yeah.
What is your desired outcome?
Right.
It's not that the kid brushes his teeth at 7:07
right.
in
it's
this particular bathroom.
Brushed.
It's that they brush their teeth in the morning and at night.
Period. Yep, absolutely.
You're getting lost in the weeds.
Yeah.
Pick and choose your battles. But also you're teaching by asking, hey, what is it about brushing your teeth?
Right.
And that act creates the safety.
Oh, I love it.
Hey, you're allowed to, I'm asking you a question.
Yeah.
Parents don't often do that when they're trying to set those boundaries or make the expectation known, right? And predictability is so important in parenting.
Yes.
And that can go two ways also for a parent. I always say, think of a video game, right? What happens to Mario when he falls off the ledge? Boop, game over.
Yep.
If you have 3 lives, you do it 3 times, you're dead, game over,
Yeah.
right? The TV doesn't come out and sometimes give you a long lecture. Why did you do this again? It's the 75th time you fall out. It doesn't do that.
Doesn't do that.
It's just game over.
Right.
And then the player, the kid or the adult or whoever's playing, has a choice.
Yeah.
Do I want to do this again? Do I want to try again? And they do. And they figure it out.
Yeah.
Kids of all abilities.
Love it.
Do you ever ask yourself why? Predictable.
Absolutely.
The rules don't change.
Right.
In our houses, our rules change all the time. Kid wants candy. No, it's before dinner. You can't have it. Throws tantrum. Maybe that day I have some patience. And I'm like, absolutely not. There's no candy before dinner. Stop it. Keeps going. Maybe it's a day where I have just had it and I just want you to stop. Take the candy.
Right.
What do? We've reinforced the negative behavior. Because of our own emotions and feelings, right?
Right. We brought ourselves to the table and it changed the outcome there.
So that parent that needs to have all that control, I just try to break it down. What is your desired outcome?
Right.
Is it the 7:45 in this bathroom with this
the toothbrush has to be the red one.
Right. Or is it that your kid learns the importance of brushing their teeth twice a day?
Yeah.
And that they don't leave the house with stanky breath.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I love that. Just focus on, all right, it's not the whole routine. It's not exactly how it's going to be done. What's that desired outcome and how can we get there? And let a little bit of maybe this is how I would do it. Right. Or the rigidity of, but this is how it's always been done. Right. Right. And one of the analogies we give to parents is like, okay, if you're trying to get your kid to, finish, let's say the behavior is a goal, right? Yeah. Brushing your teeth at the finish line of a race. Maybe they're not at the starting line. Right. And you're treating them like they're at the starting line. Right. That parenting strategy might have worked really well for your older kid or might have worked well when you were a kid. Everybody's different. And so if we're expecting that they can run the race at that and that's in the same way, the exact same time, maybe we start way back here. They haven't even put their shoes on yet. It's bringing the toothbrush downstairs. And maybe eventually they'll get to the point where, you know what, I can brush my teeth upstairs before breakfast. Maybe, right? But why? As long as they get to that finish line, can we get them there a different way? Yeah. Right? And we're not starting in the same space.
Ages and stages too. Like just asking that simple question.
I love that.
Yeah. You brought a really good point up earlier when you said, how do we create that safety while also being the parent and not the friend, right? I often hear that. Yes. Especially if there's been trauma in the home or a divorce situation. You have one parent that wants to be the fun parent. Yes. And then the other one's the bad cop.
Yeah. Good cop, bad cop.
And it's like, it doesn't really have to be that way, right? So house rules,
Yeah.
just like the video game. The parent that likes to be over controlling, I break it down. I help them to see what's age appropriate, what makes sense.
Yeah.
And then I throw a wrench in the works.
Okay.
I'm like, these house rules are not just for the kids.
Right.
So if it goes on the list, you have to do it too. Exactly. And it helps to put it in perspective.
Yeah.
Like, how many times do we mess up? But we're adults, so no one's like telling us,
Right.
hey, you didn't do
Right.
that. But the kids constantly get that, right? So that's another thing I wanted to bring up. Nurtured heart approach.
Yes.
Right? So kids sometimes hear negative input
Right. All
from the moment
day.
they wake up. Some of these kids, they don't even get to the classroom, and every single interaction with everybody, their parent, a sibling,
the bus driver, get on faster,
whoever's
sit down now.
in the recess area trying to corral the kids into the building. You know, it's just constant negative.
Right. But yeah, from that moment, like, move faster, pants go on, you didn't brush your teeth yet, get downstairs, we're already 5 minutes late. Yeah, all that negative input from the moment they get up.
Absolutely. So I've noticed that with parents, if I take that approach, it's like, yeah, it lands a little bit, but you have to make it make sense to the person, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's like you have to teach the student.
Right.
And the student could be different.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So I'll say to a parent, you ever have a boss? And they know where I'm going with this. I'm like, you ever have that boss that no matter what you do, it's not good enough?
Yes.
They don't notice that. I was like, that's how some of the kids feel. And it's not that what you're saying is necessarily wrong. You literally could have said 75,000 times, please put your shoes here. Don't just come in the door and throw them. It's disrespectful. It's rude. I get that. Valid lesson.
Right.
But recognize all of the negative.
Yes.
Try to focus on something positive. Where's the motivation? Would you be motivated? Right? Compliment sandwiches happen for a reason, right? Hey, I really like how you did this. I'd like you to work on this area, but you know what? I love the art that you do. And I love that you do the art to calm yourself down. That's a great coping skill.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
It's not what we say, but how we say it.
Oh, 100%. You know, and along with that, one of the things we encourage parents to do is practice a desired outcome with their kid in a calm moment.
Absolutely.
Right? So like on a good day, like, hey, let's all take off our shoes and we're going to put them right here. And whoa, that was so fun. Okay, how fast can we get them back on? Let's do it again. Let's do it again. And you make it fun and you make it a game and you practice it in a way that makes them feel successful with that behavior.
Right.
Rather than hearing 28 times in a row, where do those shoes go? Not there. Right. You practice that in a fun way when everyone's calm, and then they're more likely to remember to do it because you're creating habit.
Yeah. And you're creating a good memory and feeling with it. Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
No, this is all really wonderful. I want to go back to something you said about nurtured heart. Can you talk a little bit more about that approach and kind of the yes/no parenting strategy that you can use to help kids maybe follow a directive a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. So the nurture heart approach has 3 main stances: absolutely yes, absolutely no, absolutely clear. Video game. I'm a circle right back to it. Right back to it. Yeah. So example for that parent that wants that structure, wants to instill that accountability and that clarity of like, this is what we do. The why is so helpful. And a lot of times parents forget to provide the why. And that might be because I'm the parent.
Right. They don't need to know why.
I don't need to give you reasonings from what I said. I said it because I'm the parent. What I say goes, whatever. But with nurtured heart, it's, you want to be crystal clear.
Yeah.
And it has to be consistent. It can't ebb. It can't flow. It can't change.
Right.
Mario falls off the ledge. He's going to die every time. Yeah. Right. He gets hit by that little turtle. Boop, boop, boop. He gets smaller. If you're already small, you're dead. Yeah. Right. So it's a totally different way of interacting with a child. Okay. And it can be used with coworkers. It can be used with other family members. But the idea is that we take that child that is the problem child or always angry and aggressive or there's always that tension. Yeah. And we shift the way that we're connecting. It's human connection, right? One of the things that I loved from one of the trainings I took was there was a couple people passing a basketball. Okay. Right. And the question on the screen was, how many times does the ball get passed? Yeah. And you're watching this and that's all that you're focusing on is how many times this ball's getting passed. And then at the end of the little clip, it says, how many gorillas were doing the moonwalk. And it was like,
what?
There was a gorilla,
yeah.
right? And that's how we get sometimes as the adult in situations, that we're hyper focused on whatever it is that is in our mind on that one thing. And we're not noticing the other things stuff, that are happening.
All the context around. And that goes back to some of our original questions, I think, about, when a child is acting out, recognizing that there might be something deeper going on. Maybe they're getting bullied. Maybe they're feeling alone and isolated. Maybe they're struggling in class and they don't know how to say it. Maybe everyone's reading and they're not reading, know. So the things that can lead to anxiety and depression, I mean, there's a lot of things that can lead to that. But often, again, a kid's not going to come forward and just say, hey, Mom, I'm feeling depressed today, right? Like, oh, how lovely would that be? It would be so easy, but it's not going to show up like that. It's going to come out in these behaviors. It's going to come out in, I'm slamming the door, I'm refusing to do my homework. And we're like,
power and control
just happened? You always did your homework, all these things. And so going all the way back to that, looking at those behaviors. I know we've talked a lot about that kids show what they're feeling before they say what they're feeling. And we know that kids often respond best to play and, that kind of a level of communication. That being said, if a parent wants to make sure they're not missing something and they want to connect with their kid verbally, hear about their day, making sure they are that safe boss that the child can come and say, I'm struggling. What are some tips you'd give them about how to create that safety in that communication or how to connect with their kid and find out maybe what they're struggling with?
Do it themselves.
What do you mean?
Sometimes I'll say, how was your day? Kids will give you, it was fine.
Yeah.
What made it fine? Well, I didn't get yelled at today. That's really cool. That's awesome. You must have did something that you didn't get yelled at today. What'd you have for lunch? A sandwich.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you like it? Was it a good sandwich? Like, would I eat it? Just trying to connect. But also, if you can feel that like the kid is like, oh my God, 20 questions. I'm not here for this. I'll just share about my day. Normalize it. We have to normalize the thing that we're looking for. If we are closed off and we're not communicating, we're not creating that environment for the child.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Again, back to modeling. Model what you're looking for. They have to be able to see that the people closest to them are
sharing,
are real,
wanting to
make
to share.
mistakes, have feelings. Like one time I told my own kid, I had a really bad day today. And he was like, what? Like, you have bad days? And I was like, yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. He'll randomly share like an interesting fact that came out of nowhere. And I was like, what made you think of that?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, a video game. I'm like, oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
And I'll say sometimes there's a coworker that really gets on my nerves. I made it up. Doesn't really happen, but I want to connect with him.
Right. You want him to, again, to normalize, here's my feeling, here's how I'm handling it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We have littles, under 5, you parent different. I mean, yes, you do. You parent different under 5, right? Because they aren't at the stage of development where they should be able to handle the curveballs all the time. You be the safety, you be the consistency. As their development grows and as they're able to develop more abstract thinking and they go to an elementary school classroom and they get their first curveball thrown, as that changes, it allows you as a parent to just grow your strategy. You still remain the safe boss. You are consistent in most things. You are consistent in your approach with them. You're consistent in the way you love them. You're consistent in the way you show up for them. But the approach might be a little bit different.
We have to say certain things too. I've noticed that sometimes if I'm just talking with a parent, they'll share things with me and I'm like, when's the last time you said that to your child? And they're like, I don't know if I ever have.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Could you even imagine what your kid might say if you actually shared like, I love you on your best day and your worst day. There is nothing you can do that's going to make me love you any differently.
Yeah, that's such a great line.
Kids of all ages could hear that and it be a game changer.
Yeah.
Instantly reduces some of the anxiety or the frustration.
Right. There's the stuff that we say to people about our children that we never actually say to our children, right?
Right.
And you're right. It can be absolutely, it's so powerful. Our oldest tends to be a little bit, he can be on the anxious side. And sometimes he'll ask if he's in trouble, like, do you still love me? And we're like, oh my gosh, honey. Yes, of course. Right. But it just goes back to show that when they're experiencing moments of anxiety, when they're experiencing moments of shame, it goes down to their core. It goes down to it helps, or it affects how they see themselves, what they believe about themselves in the context of the larger world. Right. And as parents, we need to be there to say, you are always okay. Like, I will always have you. You are always loved. Right. We can't hit people. Right. You are also always loved. Correct. Right. You can still set the boundary around a behavior without changing the way a child feels about themselves.
You're still being the constant.
Yes.
Right. You're still being consistent. Right. So cause and effect. Yeah. If you do this, then blank will happen. I'm going to love you when blank happens, but just so you know, so we're clear, right? Every time you do blank, this is the consequence, period. Yeah. So back to what we were talking about earlier, right? The parent that needs to have that control. Like, how do you level with them and get them to a place where it's not so rigid, where they can see a little bit of the gray and maybe just pause and really see through the forest. We make house rules together.
That's great. Yeah.
House rules, expectations. We even think about consequences. Yeah. And then I really trip them up when I'm like, let's bring the kid in. And they're like, what? I'm like, I want to ask your kid. Yeah. Have you ever asked your kid, hey, if you did this, what do you think the consequence should be?
A lot of times they'll offer something more severe than you have suggested. Yeah.
My own son was like, I don't know, 2 months, no video games. I'm like, that's 2 months. Terrible. Yeah. I'm like, I was going to say the afternoon.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. No, I think we often tell parents that any consequence, most of them shouldn't be a surprise. No. Right. So if you slam the door going into your room, whatever, you should know that what the consequence is. If you refuse to finish dinner, you should know that means no dessert. If you yell and scream at your sibling or hit somebody, you should know that means no video games for the afternoon or whatever it is. That it shouldn't be a surprise. That stuff is already set.
And that's the predictability piece. So again, back to that parent that is like, but I just need to power and control. I'm the adult. Listen to me. What's your desired outcome? Right. What are you really looking for? Right. Is it a peace and quiet home? Okay, you have kids. Yeah, that might not be let's be realistic here. So smart objectives too, right? Yes. Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time-bound. Parents don't think that way if they're not in this field. Like, we don't know what we don't know. So I try to give them like those little tips that help complicated situations not seem so complicated. Because honestly, we overcomplicate it most of the time. Yeah. Just kind of focus on what is it that you don't like and what are you looking for, and accepting that there's multiple ways to get from point A to point B.
That's a huge one, I think, recognizing that the journey, look at that outcome. Right. Can you get there a different way, and using your kids' feedback to do so.
Absolutely. Asking. It's amazing what a simple question can do.
Right. Yeah. I think that's such a great point. There's been a lot of really good stuff shared today. And I'm so grateful that you came on and have talked from your experience, both as a mom and as a parent coach and a child therapist. But just as we're kind of closing, are there other parenting strategies that you would just say, hey, this is something every parent needs to know?
Yeah, that kid that won't talk. Right. I can't tell you how many times I've just gone to the dollar store, gotten a marble composition book, and I said, listen, every time you try to talk, it turns into a fight. Yeah. Let's try something different. Right? You write your question or your feelings in this book. Yeah. The kid has to read it. You're uninterrupted, right? You get to get it all out, and then so do they. Yeah. And then we just gradually shift from that book. All of the things we talked about today all come down to effective communication. Yeah. And you have to build that if it hasn't been there. Right. So if there's a lot of that tension and frustration, and there's still like the yelling and the screaming and the responding from the trauma, writing, find a different way to communicate. Yeah. Yeah. And nonverbal body language is huge. True. But I like to remind parents that there are other ways that you can get to that conversation aspect. I really like that. You just have to make it comfortable. Yeah. One of the things I love about the writing too is that it gives you time to process and respond. Slows it down. Right. Yes. You get time to think. If you are angry, if you're having an angry response, it gives you time to do that away from your child. Yep. And then you can calm down. You can think about, how do I want to say this? What do I want my message to be? Yeah. Right. And it's something about writing that allows our brains to recognize how it's coming out because we read it as we're writing it.
Right.
And we might pause and then read it again and be like, oh,
that's not exactly
that's
what I meant.
not really how I meant that. But if you're not writing and you're just talking and there's all of those feels for
the emotion,
you and the child,
right.
there's no filter.
Yeah.
There's no pause power.
Right.
The writing allows there to be that pause. And then you can naturally create a better understanding.
Yeah.
It is easier to understand someone's perspective sometimes, especially if it's around a corrective or, you know, a punishment that maybe the kid really didn't like.
Right. And I think that's such an important distinction that, you know, there's all this talk about, you know, gentle parenting and, that doesn't work because I got to be in control and I got to teach my kids. And it's like, well, you know,
there's no rule book.
There's no rule book. and being kind and parenting out of love doesn't mean you don't offer guidance and discipline. There's not consequences for certain things. Yeah. It just means it's not done.
I hear that all the time when I bring up the nurture heart approach. They're like, I'm not about that foo-foo stuff. Right. What, you just want me to focus on the positives?
Yes.
Yeah,
I do. Yeah.
I do, because guess what? If your energy, we are our children's greatest toy.
Yes. Yeah.
We can buy them everything. If we're giving them attention, they're dropping it. They want us, right?
100%. Mm-hmm. Right. 100%.
So if we are focusing our energy, that same intensity of like, what did you do? Mm-hmm. Don't put, how many times do I have to tell you, right?
Right.
And we focus that on the, hey, I love how you just got up after dinner and started clearing off the table.
Right.
Like, that shows me that you understand that, like, you're capable of doing things. Yeah. And I loved that. I didn't have to ask you. That made me feel great.
Yes. Right.
Right.
You know, I just want to point out that you pulled out this nurtured heart approach again, and just what you did. It's not just the compliment about the behavior, but you pull out the value underneath. Right. Right. And it's another way to build your kid up. And that doesn't end whether they're 2 or 17 and a half. Yes. You know, that doesn't end. That's so important.
And it's not just a benefit for them. Mm-hmm. It's a benefit for us because now our brain is rewiring to think about things in that way for ourselves. Right. Internal script.
Yes.
Right. The kid that gets yelled at all the time, we want to change that internal script. That child might just be focusing on all of the negative. I'm not good enough.
Right.
Nothing I do is right. Why should I even try?
Yep.
But if we just sprinkle some of that positivity and we shift the attention from the negative to the positive, guess what type of behavior they're going to replicate more?
Absolutely.
The positive.
Right.
One
of the tip we give parents about communication is if a child starts to do something that you've been wanting them to do, right? Let's say clearing the table. They haven't been doing it. It's a big fight, and all of a sudden they do it. To make sure that you don't put any accidental shame in that. Oh, finally, you're now doing it. Oh, look, they finally came down and did this.
Look, you can do it.
Right. All that sarcasm that maybe is fine with our peers, right? Yes. It will only knock that child down and feel like, see, no matter what, even when I think I'm accomplishing the goal, I'm not good enough. Right. And even though we've heard parents say, like, I was just joking, then I'm joking. We're sarcastic in this house. They don't know you're joking. Words matter. Words matter.
Yep, they sure
absolutely. Do you have like a check-in strategy that you like to use with your kid or one that you teach parents to use? I know one of my go-tos is roses, buds, and thorns. I do this with clients. Like when you just to model that check-in, like, okay, Rose, what was something great from your day? And no judgment, no matter what that was. Okay, a thorn. What was something challenging through the day? Okay. What's something you're looking forward to tomorrow or the rest of this week? And just to kind of normalize sharing, talking, listening, hearing about their day, getting to hear the ups and downs. Because I'm sure you've run into this too, but we have some kids that will come and only share the good and not be comfortable share the bad, or only share the bad.
In trouble.
Right, exactly. And so this is a way to normalize all those things. Do you have like a check-in strategy that you like?
Very similar outcome that your game is, but it's the high-low game.
Yes.
I love the high-low game. I actually do it with myself sometimes. Yeah. Like, I'll just be home and I'm like,
what was your high?
Yeah. What was your low?
Yeah.
The thing that I like to point out, especially with parents, when I do the high-low game, or when I'm asking them to like understand it so they can do it themselves, is you can't have like a reaction to either the good or the bad.
Right. And you can't talk them out of it being a good or a bad.
Yep. Just let them express what they feel when they feel it. But it is about balance. Nothing is ever all good or all bad.
Right.
And then one of my favorite things is reminding the parents, not just the kid, hey, we can feel like 2, 3, 4, 5 things at the same time.
Yes.
We can.
Yep.
Like I have.
Yeah.
You could be excited and scared simultaneously. Yep. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I mentioned I have toddlers, so we're in a Daniel Tiger phase, and they have a great song about that says sometimes we can feel 2 feelings at the same time, and that's okay. And there's so many adults that we work with that's not, we don't know that. It's all or nothing, and teaching parents that and allowing them to model that to their kids.
Absolutely.
So important.
Yeah. There is gray. Mm-hmm. There's black and white, but there's also gray. And we have to learn to be okay with the gray because we want them to be okay with the gray.
Absolutely.
Because they're not always going to get what they want. Mm-hmm. And patience. Our society though just struggles with patience.
Yes.
It's everything is just instant gratification. Mm-hmm. That's hard enough for a kid with anxiety or ADHD. Mm-hmm. But just normalizing life.
Yes.
Life is beautiful. It's amazing. It's fun. It's exciting, but it can also be messy.
Yes.
And sad.
Uh-huh.
And it's okay to feel those things.
Absolutely.
Balance. It all comes back to balance.
Yeah.
I tell parents all the time, think of a scale. Is your reaction tipping one drastic way or the other? Because you have that kid that'll be like, if my mom comes at me with some foo-foo stuff one more time, I'm going to lose it.
Right.
I'm like, I get that.
Yeah.
Balance. Just be real.
Well, and I think so often as parents, we feel the need to fix a situation because nobody wants their kid to be hurting. Right. And so we feel that need to fix. If a kiddo comes home and says, no one wants to play with me at school today, our natural instinct to be like, no, that's not true. What about Johnny? Johnny loves you. Susie's your BFF. We want to fix.
Validate the feeling.
Right. Because that makes it feel like I can't tell you this. You don't understand.
No, but even just, what makes you feel that way? Mm-hmm. You know what? That sounds really crummy. I'm really so sorry.
Yeah.
That stinks. I wonder what I would do in that situation.
Yes. All perfect responses, right? Because then what you're doing is you're
shifting the perspective.
And you're opening it up for more conversation.
More conversation.
If you fix it, that shuts it down.
And that
it doesn't actually
teach
fix
them how to navigate through that because you've helped them learn to avoid it. Mm-hmm. And avoidance doesn't fix it. Right? Like the wound that's festering.
Like the wound.
It's under that Band-Aid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Take the Band-Aid off. Let's clean it out. Let's work through it.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh man, this has been so wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
Just great tips, great strategies. I'd love to have you back on.
Let's do it. It takes a village.
It takes a village. Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us. And we hope to see you next week.
Absolutely.